hard cut, and then my face. And not only that, I remembered to unmute myself this time. So, hello. Welcome to another stream, another night of audio alchemy. Today, I have a bit of an interesting idea. It arrived in the forefront of my mind 2 days ago, I think. The idea to take a single note and to do something with it. What exactly? Not sure, but we're going to find out. I don't know what the sound sounds like, but I know the journey that we're going to go on today with this particular idea is going to be pretty wild. Oh, my friend said something. I like that you keep doing that intro. Well, yeah, I still haven't found a viable solution. My other friend enjoys the intro tune. I do too. I made it when I was on a job, I guess. I got hired by a local venue to diagnose their sound system. And I finished that. It did not take long. But they didn't pay me. They said I could stay and have food and drinks and do whatever I wanted for the evening. So that's why I had food and drinks and made that song. Chirpy Lead lives rent-free in my ADHD brain. I don't know if you've heard it backwards, but it's really good. It's on my SoundCloud. The forward version is called Rev Rev, and the backwards version is called Ver Ver. SoundCloud, I think it's Musical Mercenary or something. My friend wrote down my internet handles, and it's underneath the keyboard that I set up so I could do this whole thing a little more easily. And that's really hard to move again. It barely fits on my desk. All that to say, yeah, I don't know if you've ever been the ocean before. Of course, you may not even be entirely sure what I mean by that question. It's one that comes up a lot in the stuff that I write. You know, the Multiverse of Aether campaign, the Gravity of Gravity book, which is available on my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Darian Thomas, DARRIANTHOMAS. Another one of my friends suggested I put it on the screen somehow. And I have not had the time to do that, but I'll do that in the future. Becoming the ocean. What does it mean? Well, to answer that, maybe we could define what it means to be a single drop. To be a single note, and to believe that your entire existence is composed of and derived from that limited reality. That's the natural assumption, isn't it? When you experience discrete perspective, when you exist as a human, according to my interpretation, anyway, we all make the assumption that we're similar because we express ourselves similarly. I don't know exactly how far it goes, but if we think of being confined to our own reality, our own interpretations of it, if we realize that our environment is not just our environment, but a reflection of our understanding of it, an interpretation, this moment, this sentence, these ideas are all translated into the individual realities of the people watching. Becoming the ocean is experienced through becoming aware of that very thing, of seeing the interconnectedness of everything, of every moment, of every detail, of every facet. When we think on these things, the limitations are changed. They seem less static. They seem less solid. They seem more arbitrary. And then, of course, you might ask, where is the ground? What do we stand on? Well, that's arbitrary as well, but I'm not going to get into that unless it comes up in the song, which it might. So today I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit down and I'm going to try to capture that. I'm going to try to capture the experience of questioning the boundaries of our perceived reality, of contemplating and exploring the interconnectedness of everything, which is only, very well exemplified by this very space that we've created on Twitch between me and the number 3, as it turns out. How does that play out in music? How can we capture that? So today's going to be a lot of songwriting, a fair bit of music theory, and a lot of production techniques. Which ones? I have no idea. Have not decided, but we're going to figure it out. 4 now. Wow, the number changes. Welcome, people watching. I hope your realities are treating you well. Perhaps today I can offer some comfort. Perhaps today I can disrupt the things that need to be disrupted. Or perhaps I can just make a little song and it'll be fun. I have opened up a project here in Logic Pro on my computer. Now, what we're going to do is start with a single note, and I think I know which note I want to start with. Maybe not what kind of sound I want it to be, but which note. I have connected here my Akai MBK 249. I can prove that, I guess. Just play a note real quick. I was thinking we could do that note. Does anybody have an opinion? Anybody have a note that they want to do? I was thinking A would be good. I really like the idea of A minor because I teach the A minor scale, the natural minor, to my guitar students. And I always talk about improvising and practicing the scale over something. So I figured, you know, if I'm doing this songwriting stream where a drop becomes the ocean, I could use it as well to set up something for my students to be able to practice. Which will go into the tempo, won't it? But I can make multiple versions. A minor sounds good, apparently. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to change this. I never change this, the key of the project. I'm going to change it to A minor. I think I'm going to stick with 4/4 because that's also what I use when I first teach rhythmic notation. So we're just going to leave that as it is. Okay, so the note that we want, modulations, that if I'm going to use it for my students, I feel like that would be very difficult. It could be cool to pivot to C major to try to show them how that works. That would be pretty wild. So maybe I'll give that a try. Maybe we'll just throw in some secondary dominants that are diatonic. Who knows? But I was thinking for the first note, what we could do, because what we're doing with the very first note of the song is we are establishing a character, right? Because every song has a narrative. Every piece has an emotional and intellectual experience that unfolds as you're listening to it. So when we choose our first note, this is our character. This represents a person, a drop in the ocean, becoming the ocean. So I was thinking maybe, I don't know, the lower octave or the higher octave. I think maybe that one, because then we can raise it. We can go higher, and that would be pretty symbolic for the piece. I don't want to go that low, so we'll sit in the middle ground there. Let me go ahead, create our MIDI region, try to put it on 1, extend it to 4 bars, open it here. We'll go ahead and add our note. We'll have the note, it'll just be a quarter note, which is this long. I'm looking at 16th notes now. Okay, so it's that long. We have a quarter note. This is the beginning of our song. And that's all we need, really. The rest of it, we'll figure it out as we go along. But the next question is actually, what instrument do we use? What sound do we want our character to take? What do we, how do we want to set this up? I was thinking what we could do is actually go into our synthesizers here. I have a lot that I haven't downloaded, clearly. But I was thinking something like percussion, maybe? One of these percussion synths. Not sure what they sound like, but we can find out. All we have to do is cycle this region. We'll do a measure so it's not playing super often. And then we'll just go through here. So abstract mallets, that could be a good start. That's actually pretty good. I want something with a little more sustain, but I actually feel like that's a decent place to start. It's got a lot of echo going on. Maybe we could have something. I don't want realistic. We don't want realistic. We are being very abstract today. Abstract mallets might actually be a good place to start. I don't know if, I mean, everybody breathes, right? That's okay. I kind of want to work with abstract mallets. So we'll take this. We'll drag this out so that we can have a little more space in between its repetition. If we pull up the actual instrument here, what I want to do is actually take down, I'm going to take off the pedal board and the tape delay. We'll see what it sounds like. That's pretty good, actually. I think maybe I might want to change the velocity, increase that to 100. No, that's too aggressive. 90. That's actually pretty good. So I want something bouncy. I want something small. We start off with something small. There is a suggestion in the chat. It includes an F sharp, which I can't use if I'm trying to teach a diatonic scale, because I don't teach high level guitar stuff. Mostly because that's just how it plays out. You know, those are the students that I get. So I like to support like a foundation and really get people comfortable and in the right mindset to have a lifetime relationship with everything that they have going on. Let's do 200%. Wow, that really exploded. Okay, maybe 200% is too much. 150. Okay. So we got this little pulse going on. If we take a look at what we have here, attack is instant. Decay pretty long. Sustain, I might turn that up a little bit. Release, I actually want that to be there. And then the EQ, we have that. The filter, let's disengage it. Okay, a little brighter. Maybe we can work with that. So if we increase this, turn down the resonance. Okay, that's pretty good. But I think I like it without the filter on at all. Let's see. That's too bright. Maybe I can actually automate it to do that at a later point. We also have our buses active here. So if we turn those off, let's see. Okay, awesome. So now we have the release. We have the sustain going a little longer. I want the ending to be a little smoother though, so we'll increase the release. Just a little more. That's pretty good. Now, you may be thinking, we only have one note. It's just playing. It's playing a lot. It's playing again and again and again. It's not doing anything. This is how it goes, right? This is exactly what happens. You sit down to write a song. Every single note in the song, every single sound has to be made. It takes forever. The process of mastery and proficiency gives you new ideas, but also new ways to move faster. I have not been practicing this particular skill, though I do know quite a lot about it. So I'm not intending to move through this super fast, especially with the beginning, because the beginning is super important. So important, because we establish our character. And so far, our character sounds like this. That's it. So what can we do here? I want to check out what they had on the pedal board. Ringer? Actually, maybe we can use that. I'll just get rid of that. We'll have no plugin. Tape delay, we don't want that on just yet, but I'll show you what we can do with it, because this is what I'm thinking, right? We have two things for the beginning happening to this individual note. The first thing is that we can add, I'll do it after after the delay. We'll do it after the delay. We're going to go into reverb. I want to do chroma verb because that one can get pretty wild in my experience. I'm going to go with spaces. Dark abyss. I mean, that kind of fits A minor a little bit. Nylon guitar big stage. How about that? Let's listen to this. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to increase the decay. The distance already at 100%. Density good. Size, we'll turn that up. The attack, we're actually going to turn that down a little bit. Okay. So we have a lot of space here. I'm actually going to turn up the decay even more. And we can automate this to turn it back down, but this is just for the beginning. Okay, that's pretty good. I might turn it down to 10 seconds. Okay, so we have that. I'm going to go 100% dry, and we're going to automate the wet. So watch this. We have that coming through. When we go over here, we go to the track, we can press the A key. That opens up automation. We can do track automation. That's fine. Region is cool. It's good for copying regions and stuff, especially for that. It gets a little tricky sometimes. But if we go into chroma verb and we go to the dry mix, actually we don't need dry, do we? We don't need to add any data there. We want to go down to the wet mix. So if we have, what do you think? 2 measures? 2 measures for the beginning? No, 4. We'll add a data point there. We'll start off with 14%, and we'll increase. Let's just be ridiculous. Let's increase it up to 100%. Let's see what this sounds like. That's pretty good. So it sustains. I want to turn the decay up, and then I'm actually going to try something. Watch this. Okay, perfect. So we can automate that. So we can even have it at 100 seconds. Nothing, it doesn't matter regardless. So if we have, starting off. Okay, we might actually be able to get this down to 2 measures. That might actually be just enough. At 120, I think I might keep it there. Half of that is 60, which is a little faster than I usually recommend for people practicing scales. But let's see. If we do this, we can add another data point, a little automation, and bring this down so it's a little more gradual. There's a way to do a curve. I have forgotten what it is. We'll figure it out. Okay, maybe it doesn't need to be 100 seconds, but it does need to be at least 30. Arbitrary number. I don't know. I have no idea. 30 seconds. Pretty good. 17 maybe. Okay, we can always stop it there. Perfect. So we have our note. We have, maybe we can go like this. And maybe we can actually balance this as well with volume automation. Let's find out. Okay, so wet goes up to 100%. Let's see what we can do here. Nylon guitar big stage, does that work for us? I think it does. What I would like to do next, we'll set up, I don't know, let's go for software instrument track. We'll go into our library, find electronic drum kits. They have added a lot since I last opened this. Let's see, what was the one that I liked that one time? There are a lot of options. Pile driver would be ridiculous right now. Maybe we can do that. Let's give it a try. Okay, so we have all of that going on. We'll create a MIDI region. We'll bring this over to measure 3. We'll extend it out to 4, just because I like that number. Minimize the automation. It is not deleted. You just can't see it right now. So if we give this, give that a play. We can add this. We're going to close it. I think I might actually bring this up to 110. So let's listen. Okay, that's not too bad. So far, we have 2 notes. We have the establishment of the character, the evolution of their moment of awakening, and the establishment of ground. Even in 2 notes, we have an evolving narrative unfolding. Here we go. Okay, so we have that. I think that's pretty good. Do we want to accentuate it with some kind of symbol? I think the answer is maybe. Maybe. Let's see what we have. We've got a wobble in here. Crash may be too aggressive. Yeah, it's too aggressive. Maybe hi-hat open. That's not long enough. Okay, so what we need is actually, we're going to combine different drum kits. So we'll go to drum kit. Heavy's pretty forward. Maybe we try Brooklyn. I don't know. Let's see what we have. We'll extend this out. We'll go ahead with a ride edge. 110's a bit much. It would cut through, so maybe we might have to put it back. But right now, let's see what this sounds like. Okay, that's not bad. I might want to make it even less pronounced. Huh. That's pretty good. Okay. So now we can get into, we have a few things that we can do at this point, right? We can go and start writing a rhythm section, start coming up with like a pattern. What I'm thinking at the beginning is like, if you have this experience, you know, everything that I say from the confines of my own discrete perspective, if you have this experience where in a moment of realization, the revelation washes over you and you scramble, you search for something, some sort of ground, some thing to hold on to, a sense of self, a sense of being that the context is influencing, is shaping. That sense of being, I think, is going to be captured by our drum pattern. So what kind of revelation do we want to capture here? That's the question. Do we want to have something aggressive, or do we want to have something something profound? Aggressive can be profound, but to balance between the two, you know, one's more abrasive than the other typically. I don't know if we want to go for abrasive in the beginning. Maybe we build up to that. So in the beginning, maybe we have a separation. Usually the way music is written, there's the establishment of a pulse. There's also the implication of like a bounce of movement. In the drum line, that's usually expressed through a balance between the kick and the snare. Now, of course, at this point, I'm definitely going to see what the snare sounds like on the pile driver here. It sounds bold, which could be good. That could be good energy. Let's see here. Where would we want to put it? Do we want to put it on 3? Just go for a classic division here. It's a little lighter, which is good. We could use that. And then, I don't know, we just throw it there. Give it a little bit of a catch on the beat there. I think maybe we can raise this up to 125. or even faster, 130. Let's try that. 130 is good. A lot of songs I end up writing get up to 140, but I don't know if I'm really feeling that kind of level. A level of intensity. Now, of course, we also have the ability to quicken the apparent pace. So without changing the tempo, we can give it a stronger feel of actually moving. So hi-hats on the pile driver, pretty muted, which could be good. We could combine things. Let's see what the hi-hat closed. Okay, that's what that sounds like on Brooklyn. So maybe we go for that. We head over here. I kind of want to bring this out a lot more, so I'm just going to add those and we'll play it here. Here we go. Oh, from the beginning then. I forgot about the region. Okay, so that's how we can do that. It doesn't sound like it fits in. However, I have an idea. So what if we did that right there? Obviously, that's going to be more piercing. That's going to cut through some more. So if we bring that down to 110, maybe that could work. Okay, how's this going now? Here we go. Disabled. Okay, that's not too bad. What if we? I don't know. We can do literally anything, right? Literally anything we could do. What if we did right there, and then throw it over there, and then offbeat, bring it back. Or we could even, here we go. Okay, not too bad, but it's a good start. It's a good start. What if we continue this pattern? We go back over here in the second two bars. We increase the velocity of the snare, which is going on 3. We can have that again. If we do that, that could be good. We can have this up here. Dum. And we have that there. Let's put that there. We'll just play around with it. And then actually we might, let's see how it goes. Okay, so we could do that. Actually, I want to line this up here. So I'm going to take this, put it there so that I can figure out how I want to line this up. Okay, so that'll go there. Okay, let's see. Da-da-da. That's what we want. And then we'll, I don't know, we'll just repeat this for the moment. And then we'll create a new MIDI region for this section so that we can have variation. Of course, we're just going to do whatever we want at any point for any reason anyway. But crash right is all the way up here on A. So how about we play around with that? let's see how this feels, right? So we have our evolving narrative right here, where we have our character established in the single note, bringing us to a wider space, which has not yet been built. So it's not, we're gonna add maybe like a pad or something, some kind of chord structure. I think I might start off with open fifths, maybe play around with fourths. I don't want it to be too complicated. I want that sense of simplicity and clarity, and I want that to become more complicated as it settles, as it becomes more full. So let's see how that goes. Okay, not too bad. I think we'll leave it with that for now, and we're going to add more for our character to play around with. So if we go to, and then I actually have a little trick to show you all. Yeah, we want a new software instrument track. Now this one, what do we want? Something like that. We can go ahead and write that in and then play around with different sounds. It'll be 8 bars. We'll go for, let me find out where that note is. It'll be the base of it. It is not going to sound like the other one. Actually, I want to bring this down to 100. We're going to stretch this out. We're going to do a full measure with each to really emphasize the moment, to emphasize the moment of the space, basically. Okay, so we have that. We have the E. We have the octave. Then what we can do is we can swap to the fourth. Make the fourth a fifth by bringing down the outside notes. And then make the fifth a fourth. And then what we can do is actually make the fourth a third and add another note and lead into that note. That'd be wild. And now we have a full chord, which we can play around with. Do we want a minor 4 at that point? Maybe. We can bring them down, go there, or we could leave it and have this here, that there, which would sound kind of, it wouldn't flow as well. So what if we did E minor instead? Do we want to break from the diatonic? Is it too complicated to describe the leading tone? I think maybe we just want to leave it diatonic for now. Okay, so then after that we can keep the G. We have that. We could bring that down, bring the E down to a D, and then keep the B. And it just goes back to A, maybe. I like the ending, but I do not like that minor 4, just like I was thinking. What if instead we did... what would that be? So currently we have a G, a D, and an F for some reason. I kind of want to leave it maybe there. Maybe that's the note. We'll leave this up here, actually. And then move those down. How about that? And then we'll go from there. Let's hear it. Let's hear it repeated. We're not going to do like variations right now. This is just to see what it would be like if it led into itself. Yeah, we're gonna keep the density in the next section rather than going back to the fifth, the open fifth there. Now what we can do is we can actually determine what kind of sound we want for this part. I'm thinking something sustained, maybe not with a ton of attack, something that doesn't have a whole lot of focus. Something that's there and definitely taking up space and getting your attention, but maybe not something that's been fully established just yet. So if we go to synthesizer, we can just go straight to pad. I mean, that sums up pads pretty well. Chill out, I used that once. I like that one. Let's see if I like it in this case. Okay, not too bad. Very loud, very full. That's quite the thing. So they this patch sets up a bus, which you can balance against. We use the retro synth here. If we take a look at this, creamy, nice. If we take a look at this, we can change the shape, change some of the modulation. Would I want to add vibrato? It's a little bit there. Would I want to emphasize it? So we have the release on the filter and the amp pretty high. So if we take that down a bit, it won't bleed into the next line. Take it down a bit, divides it by 10. Let's see. That's actually pretty good. It kind of feels like breathing, which is exactly the thing that you need when you're going through experiences like this. So if we start with a single note. I want it to be more shimmery, right? So we're going to go in here. We're going to take the vibrato. We're going to move it up a bit. And then what we're going to do is, I don't really want to do it in here, actually. Let's do it a different way. So if we go over, we activate the channel EQ, what we can do is we can have a low pass filter, bring that down to cut off the high end. Go over here, we can, I guess, okay, it wants me to, okay, we can do this. 18. So if we have that, it's going to sound much less present. go over to vibrato. We've got, okay. And that would be add, okay, perfect. Not too bad. Let's hear it just with the context of the intro, which I'm going to adjust and build upon. Okay, so what we can do, we can add even more movement to it. So if we go over here, actually, no, we'll have to go here. The channel EQ is before it goes to the bus, so it's affecting it before it, the channel EQ is affecting the synthesizer first, basically. So if we go onto the chill out instrument track and we go to automation, we can actually pull up the channel EQ, go to like high cut. So the high cut frequency is what we're looking for. Currently it's very low, as you might expect. That's what I did to it. If we go here to the last portion of this part, and we increase it maybe to 3600, I think one of these, I accidentally did it for a second there. Here we go. There we go. We can bring this up like this. Actually bring this so it's a little less gradual, I guess. So if we start this. Okay, so it opens up into the next phrase. In the beginning, we have our character, our protagonist, our single note, evolving, opening up, expanding. And then we have our statement, our reality that we, of which we are becoming aware. And that evolves as well. So we have an evolving narrative playing out in this song so far, which only has this little bit going on. And how long have we been going? 44 minutes? Yeah, a lot of time goes into stuff like this. Of course, normally you're not talking about it to an audience on the internet. So it actually goes a lot faster. But you know what? That's fine. I want to show you something because I think you might appreciate this. There are two things that we can do to help build the narrative in the beginning, to emphasize the exponential expansion of having a thought. Okay, so we have that going on, right? It evolves, it opens, it expands. If we close that out, create a MIDI region, highlight this, we can, I want to do that note. So what we can do is actually, we'll put it here, make it half as long, and then on, actually it'd be here, wouldn't it? Let's just listen to this. I'll show you something. So what we can do is we could do a couple different things. So we can play around with the attack of the synthesizer, which basically just makes it take longer to open up, which if we want to balance that, that could be a cool way to bring in the synth. I think I might make it a little denser in the beginning to really open up a little faster. We could also use volume, which is a pretty straightforward decision there. It gets louder. With the EQ already set up, that would be pretty easy to work with. So I'm actually going to do this. So we actually have, what I would like to do is play with the attack. I have made my decision. So if we go on here, when we change this, the automation is going to persist. So you can have automation in here for every single one of these qualities. But if we go to retro synth, and we can go to amp envelope, the attack. So this is what we want to do. We want to take this region right here and change the amp, change the attack. Here we go. So we'll take this little bar. I guess we don't really need this part. So we're just going to do this. Actually, we have to increase it. We can bring this dot over as far as it'll go and bring this up even more maybe, unless I've grabbed the wrong one, in which case we delete all of it and try again. Okay, so that's good, but actually now that I hear it, I kind of want to get rid of all of this and just go for volume. Which means we have to go in here and play around with the attack again. We'll bring it back maybe 1,000. I forget what it was at. Let's listen. There we go. That works. Okay, so I'm going to do volume instead. We're just going to go to volume. It's, like I said, easy, pretty straightforward, very common production technique, playing around with volume. So if we do this, we could actually have it come up like that. Oh, I actually had an idea. What if we did none of this? I know, I keep changing my mind. But what if we did none of this? Instead, we close this out, grab this region, and bounce in place. We'll call it pad intro ocean. I don't know. The drop becomes the ocean. We'll call it that. We're going to have a new track. We're going to mute the source, include audio tail, all of that stuff, normalize, off, and okay. So that has made an audio file of that little bit. So if we play it, we'll hear it even though the original source is muted. Okay, so we have that going on. Now what we can do is play around with it as an audio file. I don't really need it to be that long, maybe this long. Let's go into the file functions. What can we do here? Invert, that would be wild. Reverse, maybe. Time and pitch, adjust tempo, search silence. No, we don't need to do that. I don't want to normalize it either. What if we did a fade in through an audio file? I am just curious. Okay, here's an idea. A better idea. What if we edit, undo fade in, and then instead what we do is we make the pad intro ocean more of an intro ocean. We turn off the buses, of course. They weren't doing anything anyway. We go over to chroma verb. Now we take the same, what was it? Space? What was it? I forget what I call it. Chamber? I forget where it was. We take the same one. Eventually I'll find it. Space, nylon guitar, big stage. We go 100% dry, 47% wet. We'll bring 100% down a little bit. We have this. We increase the decay. The density is good. The distance fine. We'll bring down the volume. Okay, now that we have that, we can balance that against the effects of the intro. So we have our main character. I think what we can do actually, increase the wet signal, increase the dry signal, increase the size. The attack, we can decrease. We can actually pull this back a little bit. Not that much. Where's that button that does the thing? Is it this one? No, it's this one. And of course, my hands are not dexterous enough. It's got a bit of a pause there. I don't really want that. So we'll actually bring it back. So it kind of feeds into it a little bit. I think that's fine. The little trick that we did, we can do the same thing over here. So if we have a right edge, here's an idea. What if we took this region, split it here, took this region, bounced it. After adding over here, after everything, chroma verb, we have our spaces, of course, nylon guitar, big stage, 80% dry. We want more wet than anything, actually, so let's bring that down. We'll increase the decay, which is going to be pretty wild. Definitely increase the size, decrease the attack, and we'll take a listen to just that note. Absolutely wild. So we obviously don't need that much. Okay, chroma verb again. We'll decrease the decay. We really only need like 3 seconds for this particular thing. So we have that. We can actually decrease the dry some more. Okay, so at 130, 2 measures is a little over 2 seconds. 1 second? I don't remember. 130 beats per minute. 2 beats is a second. Okay, that should be fine. So if we take this, we'll delete this region that has nothing in it, and then we'll go ahead and bounce this in place. We'll call it Ocean Ride Intro. All of the same stuff. And then, well, actually, I didn't need to mute it. So I think that is Control M to unmute it. So we have that. If we go over to this again, we can actually get rid of the reverb there. If we take a look at the audio file, we have our transient at the beginning. What I would like to do is actually go into functions here and reverse this one. So now we have it at the end. If we line this up somewhere, reduce its size, we can actually go in here and change the anchor point to be at the end of the file. And then we can go here with it highlighted. We press the semicolon, and now it's over here. And we can adjust this level. So if we have okay. Actually, what I would like to do with this one is reduce the level, check the automation. We're going to play around with volume. We're going to bring this down. Actually, I could just bring this over here, which is weird. I don't like how that looks, but then it just fills it in, so it's fine. And we can do this, change that feature of it, and then bring this volume down, hide automation, and we have that. If we bring this over here, go to automation for this as well, go into volume, drop a point here, drop a point here. Since we edited it to be shorter than it was, it starts off very loud. We can actually take this and... Oh, it probably went further than I wanted, but that's fine. Okay, interesting. All right, so we have all these little things. All these little things come together, all these little sounds and whatnot. We can actually just delete that region. We're not going to use it. We have this little experience. So it only took an hour. Oh, my friend said, what do wet and dry mean here? A very good question. So if we're looking at, what do I have it on? Chill out? No, I have it on abstract mallets in the beginning. So if we look at chroma verb, we have dry and wet, which basically means when we have 100% dry and we have very little wet, dry is the incoming signal and wet is the process signal. So in this case, the dry signal is just the abstract mallet synthesizer that we looked at in the beginning. And the wet signal is everything affected by the reverb. So what I have set up here with the automation is we have the abstract mallet synthesizer playing a single note, which is not in the context of this big space. And then as we bring in the wet signal, we're bringing in the sound of the space, which I think is really interesting as well, because that space was always there. We just couldn't hear it. Another facet of revelation, remembering, as I like to put it. So if we take a look at this, you'll see the dry signal. I don't know if I did anything with that, but the wet signal goes up, and you'll see it displayed on this visual representation. At least right there anyway. So you see it went from 14% all the way up to 100%, and that's what we're hearing there. Because this original sound, that right there, that's the dry signal. We get a little bit of the wet because it does have 14%, but in the beginning, that's all we have, and then the rest comes in. So that's what it is. Dry is unprocessed, wet is processed. That can apply to pretty much any effect that you have. Right here, we're using reverb, but that's about it. Another note, everything that we're doing right now is before like a lot more balancing and mastering as well. So this is unprocessed. We're just doing like effects and stuff to try to capture the experience of revelation. So in the end, this will sound very different. I could probably show you another example at some point. If anybody wants to take a look at what something sounds like before and after mastering, I can give you an example there, but this is before. So we're just playing around with the individual instruments, which we only have like the main character, which I'll actually rename. This will be our protagonist. And chill out, which is a great basis for revelation. Just chilling out. That sounds great. That'll be the revelation. The pile driver, we're going to call that ground. And Brooklyn, we'll call that the sky. So we have everything. We have everything here. Everything for a decent intro. Now, where do we go from here? How does it evolve? We have to ask ourselves the question, what type of revelation is it? Right now, it seems pretty chill. I would probably liken it to, there was this one time I was laying in bed in my room, and I lived in the city, kind of deeper in the midst of it. So there was always lights, there was always activity, there's always something going on. And I heard somebody talking as they were walking down the sidewalk. And I was thinking, that person, I don't know. I don't know that person. I don't know anything about them. I have no idea where they come from. I have no idea where they're going. They are completely unaware of me, most likely, but they exist. And in the very act of existing, our realities intertwined, if only for a moment and if only in thought, an auditory experience shared. They're experiencing a conversation and my experiencing a moment of reflection, a reflection of the significance of existing together. That's what this song reminds me of. It's like that thought occurs to you, it dawns on you. Dawn is another good word. And chill out, pretty good capture of that. You know, feeling alone, feeling isolated, and maybe we don't have to do a whole lot of that. It's important, you know, isolation periods can be very productive, but at the same time, if you're watching this, you don't have to do that. Not if you don't want to. You can send me a message, say hello, say what's up. I'll respond probably more thoroughly than you're anticipating, and we'll go from there. That's just how it goes. What do we want to do with this? We want to join. That's the button. We want to join those again. Bring them back to each other. Okay, so I've set this up so that when we get to the end of the first phrase, which is just a chord progression and a drum line, which doesn't have a whole lot of variation to it just yet, we're more open. We're more aware. We're more of the ocean. But what do we do next? What if, for a moment, we bring back our main character? What if we did that? What if, for a moment, we continue the very nature of the revelation? We continue the evolution of the ground and the sky, and our protagonist returns, the sense of self, bringing us back to something. What? I don't know. A melody, perhaps. What is a personality, if not a melody? And what is the collective consciousness, if not its harmony? That's too long to put in the title of an instrument, but maybe I will anyway. I'll just call it the collective, maybe. Okay, so we actually want to create another MIDI region here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to keep with the pacing that we've established, at least in the revelation. So the revelation is going to be consistent in its pacing. Now, if we go over here, we can bring us back to the tonic. But then have us with, yeah, so we can have it there. What do we want to do at this point, right? We have so many options available to us. We can play around with so many different types of harmony. What if, for example, we went with the tonic, we went with 1, we went with A minor, and then we changed it to, what did we do last time? We kind of went down from there. What if instead of changing the 5th to a 4th, we changed the outer notes? So we keep the middle ground, we keep that going, and we switch over to a G instead. So we have C, E, G. But then the question is, what if we... no, I don't want to do that. Why is this looking like it is? Let's zoom in. These are just short for some reason. And I can't tell why. Okay. So if we go back over here, so this is basically going to, so it's 1, 3. Do we want to break away from diatonic? I'm not sure. That would be really cool at this point. I would like that a lot. But let's listen to just these 2 chords. Okay, that's not too bad. Where can we go from here? If we did, no, we don't want to do that. If we stick with G, we could go to E minor again, revisit that. Accidentally hit a button. What we could do instead, actually, if we're on E, we could go to G again. Oh, G for the first time. Maybe that could be cool. So we're there, we bring this down, we bring that up there. What if we did, we're on G, we can go back to C. That could be cool. If we bring this down to E and this up to C, open up even more. So we have E, C, we need another C. We need a G somewhere, unfortunately. What if we had 5 notes? How wild would that be? Would that be too wild? I don't know. What if we did not that, but then we changed this, we kept this on E. We turned this to a B. But then where's the C gonna be? This can go down to C. We'll just arpeggiate a C major in this visitation to the parallel. Yeah, I think parallel. What if we kept that there? How would that sound? I don't want to go too much higher. I want to leave room for our protagonist. So let's listen to this from the beginning here. Not the beginning, but the beginning of this. Okay, that's pretty good. So if we're on C, what if we did... that would be interesting. We go to E, and we have a G sharp. You know what? Fine. I'll teach my students what a leading tone is. We have B. So we're actually in a bit of a different situation. So B, we have a G sharp. What if we had an E and we had another G sharp? That would be wild. I don't want to do another B, but maybe I do. No, let's try G sharp. 2 G sharps. And then we'll do an E in the bass. We'll bring this up to a B. That'll be an E. That'll remain a G sharp. Random things. Let's check it out. It's not too bad. What if we repeat the section? Comes the ocean. Whew, that is very big room. Maybe we don't need that much on the protagonist. So we actually have the wet signal right here already done. We can change it. Maybe we want to change it a little closer to the region. So we can bring this down over to 36%. And while we're here, maybe still pretty big. Okay. Well, we can do that. And then what we can do is actually go into chroma verb in the automation. We can find the I mean, is the decay time what we want? There are so many options here. Okay, so that's for the EQ. EQ on off, that could be good. Decay time might be what we're looking for. So decay time. It's at 17 seconds. We do not need that much. We could bring it down to less than a second. Bring it a little up. Okay, and then of course once we get into all of this, the automation is going to persist. If we delete the plugin, which is the reverb unit, basically. If we delete that, then the automation goes away. But for now, and for as long as we continue playing around with this, it is going to be very easy to adjust and to play around with what the instrument sounds like. So, of course, that does mean that we're going to be using this synthesizer. Of course, from here, we can actually go through and take a look at all of these presets without changing the channel strip, which is where the reverb lives. So at this point, I actually might want to play around with turning on the tape delay and activating the buses. Oh, we'll see how it goes. So let's see. I wonder why it goes there. Okay, so now what we can do is, I like in the beginning how we have just a little bit, but maybe what we can do is expand on it even more so that we can play around with the protagonist as we get into the sense of self stabilizing after the revelation. Okay, awesome. So in the beginning, our protagonist. In the end, our protagonist persists. That is the sense of self and the continuity of experience. Okay, so maybe if we do bells could be interesting. Anybody like bells? I guess you could let me know in the comments. Maybe I would notice. Yeah, I'll notice eventually, of course, but maybe I would right now. Do I like these sounds? Maybe plucked. I have been doing a lot of guitar playing. Ambience pluck, acoustic harp, that could be fun. Noisy, maybe not. Plastic, maybe. I'm going to try acoustic harp. Okay, so that's up here. That's over here. Okay. I actually like that a lot, the acoustic harp. Let's see how it behaves in the beginning. That's not too bad. Now, of course, we can also keep in mind, right? We have a lot of other elements that we haven't added to the piece just yet. We have more percussive stuff that we can do. We can do variations in the ground, in the sky, very easily done. We can add a foundation, like a bass or something, like a bass line. A few different ideas for how we could add that, what kind of thing we can go for. We can play around with that. I think I might want to do that to build on and to match the opening of the Revelation. So maybe, just maybe, we don't quite go into the protagonist regaining a sense of self just yet, unless that sense of self is understated. Still present, but not taking the lead, not yet. The recontextualizing has not yet completed. So maybe we can leave it as it is. We can add a couple notes. So maybe like if we take a look at this, we can go into the score real quick. Go over here. We have our chord progression. So if I go back here and hit play. Of course, that sounded pretty straightforward, pretty simple. But even those few notes, what we can do is we can completely change how they sound, completely change how they fit in. But I kind of like that idea, as if we have like... that melody. So if we have that, so we start here, this button. And then we go to G and then E. There we go. A little bit of dissonance, which I think is reflective of the experience of Revelation, isn't it? You have a sense of a lack of ground. You have all of these very uncomfortable realizations, because you're in that space where everything is being rebuilt and everything is being recontextualized. And what do you hold on to? One of the things that presents itself is doubt. Is doubt a worthwhile companion? I think it can be useful, but I feel like it has too much power generally. So what I want to look at is, okay, so we have positive on that for object 2. Object 3 doesn't have it. What if we change that? Oh, I saved it as project. Well, at least I saved it. That was a complete accident, but now it's saved. So that's good. I kind of want to add one note. Add the B. Here we go. Now what we can do, I like this idea. If we expand the automation, we go over here to the tape delay and we go to, oh yeah, it's under main, insert 3 bypass, which is the tape delay. So if we automate that, it's bypassed in the beginning, but we can turn it on as we get here. So that turns this into something we can play around with. bring that up. And now we have the echo of time, the introduction of temporal reality. And now we can play it together. Okay, we can play around with octaves too, but I think that's a decent place to be for the moment. Now what I want to do is actually diffuse this, build upon it, expand it, and I guess alter the presence of the protagonist in this section. Later, I want the protagonist to come out to the forefront. I want it to be more active. Right now, it's just the suggestion of presence. That's what I want to go for. So what we can do is we can actually do. You remember what we did with Revelation back here on this part? With the high cut filter, we can actually do something similar with the protagonist. So in the beginning, I want it to have a sense of clarity. So we have that. Now, what I'm thinking for the tape delay is we actually have the feedback up a little more. We increase the wet signal just a bit. Modulation, I think, is fine. The delay time, we have the tempo sync, so that is perfectly fine. We'll leave it at that. Now, I had an idea. That idea is to represent the dissolution of the boundaries of our consciousness by capturing the dissonance, the abrasive experience of relinquishing the ties that we have to the ideas that we've used to survive thus far. What better way to capture that than with distortion, a very specific kind, in my opinion. And I'll find it in just a second. Here's a good reminder to drink some water. Unless you're driving, then probably don't do that. Well, I mean, I'll leave it up to you, you know? What do we want to use and how do we want to use it? I think if we have distortion, this very particular kind that I want to find, I've used it before, so I know it's here. How long does it persist? Does it? Oh, I know. It can persist until the revelation becomes undeniable, which has not happened yet. We have not had the bass come in. We haven't introduced more percussive elements. I want to have an ARP going to capture the intensity of it, like the elevation, the uplifting, of course, going from lower to higher in pitch and capturing the cycle of repetition. So if we go onto the protagonist, we can go before the tape delay, but after the EQ. We'll go into distortion. We'll do a bit crusher. Stereo, why not? Now, a bit crusher is on the whole time, so I'm actually going to put this on. We have 100% mix, downsampling 1, solution 8-bit with a drive of 3 with mode clip. So this is what that sounds like. To make it more pronounced, maybe we'll do fold instead. Ooh, here we go. bit crusher we do after the reverb. No, it doesn't like that. We'll put it back. Okay, maybe after the tape delay. Let's try that. It doesn't like that either. Barely present. If we unsolo it. Okay, so what I have captured here by accident, total accident, is a sense of anxiety buried behind the revelation, which we can relinquish at a certain point. We can turn off the bit crusher, which is good, I think. We want to turn it off. That is our goal, to get rid of that. Let's throw a limiter on here just in case. I'll put the output level at -1 dB, just to make sure that we don't end up like destroying anything. That's pretty nice, actually. I like that. Okay, so we have a limiter on the end, just in case I hit a button and don't anticipate the outcome. If we have that there, what if we went into, for this section, we have the persistence of the protagonist through the revelation, but if we combine the wet signal with the decay time, so bring the decay time down, bring the wet signal down, we bring it actually not as much down, and then we can go to chroma verb, we'll have the dry signal as well. Up to this point, it's been at 100%. We're going to leave it at 100% in the beginning. We're actually going to bring it down for this section. So if we listen to that. Okay, a nice little thing. I think I'm actually going to save this as... Save as... Basically the thing, but different. We're actually going to save as... A drop. Becomes... The ocean. Audio files, yes. As a folder, yes. This other stuff, we don't need... A drop becomes the ocean. This is what we have so far. It's taken us an hour and a half to get to this point. We're going to go ahead and take a listen. Okay. A nice little journey. Yeah, I mean, that definitely has an effect, right? You can feel listening to this piece in the beginning with the open fifths, and we have the ride rather than the crash. We have a much softer transition to something that is building up. And with the introduction of the bit crusher on the very first note, we have something a bit more abrasive, and we can stylize that some more. We can do some more rebalancing and play around with the introduction. But this is what we have. We have a drop becoming the ocean, the entire saga, leading up to the establishment of a melody, the establishment of a phrase. I think I'm going to repeat this chord progression. It's growing on me. I really like it. But in terms of the ground and the sky, we have a lot that we can work with. We have a lot of variations we can do just in this beginning part. The other thing I want to do is actually add a bass as well to give it more body on the low end, to start to bring in the grounding and the foundation of the experience of revelation, because it isn't just a big floaty kind of thing. That is a large part of it, but there's more to it than that. I'm actually going to where is it? Edit, repeat now, select. I already have it selected. Playback, quantize, folder name and color, rename regions by tracks. Okay, there we go. We could change the color too if you wanted to do that. I don't know what color our protagonist would be. Probably blue or something. Purple maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe. In the meantime, actually, we'll put it under. That's pretty good. Nice little fun evolution. Let's see if we have any good bass here. Synth bass, maybe. Maybe we do a synth bass. Maybe we do an acoustic bass. Maybe we do a bass guitar. I don't know. Blooming bass. That sounds fun. Let's see what that's like. Oh man, what would that represent? That sound, goodness, the inevitable decimation of the sense of self, maybe. When you grow beyond the ideas you used to survive. It could be good. Could be good to include that. Could be fun. Nice little thing to play around with. Divine bass. That's got a name. That's pretty cool. Definitely much more in your face, we'll say. I actually kind of like the blooming, now that I think about it. Because we can play around with this too, because this is Alchemy here. Alchemy gives you so many options, including its performance matrix. Really cool. It even has string-like. Look at this. Ooh, interesting. Tight wobble. That is very tight. Punchy. That's in your face. I like the subdued. I really like that. Kind of reminds me of my own voice a little bit. Except, I don't know. Hopefully my voice is a little nicer in spirit, because this sounds very foreboding. But let's try it. Let's see how this goes. If we bring it into the reintroduction of the protagonist in the 11th measure, how do we want to do that? Do we want to have the same pacing as before? Maybe we have Oh yeah, that could be cool. The scenario that unfolds where we have the protagonist bringing into the revelation their sense of self, expressed through the inner dialogue or the inner monologue that is the protagonist, combined with emotion. You know, this blooming bass feels to me like the reality of emotional intensity. So if we have, well, I guess we could do just G, right? G into whatever baseline we have here. If we go over here, kind of like that octave more. Let me just throw that in there, and now what I want to do is look at Alchemy. We're gonna go into simple for a second. See what we have. Not what I'm looking for. Let's go to advanced. So we have additive sources, which have modulation in their tuning. I want to clean that up a little bit. I want to make it a little more minus 24 semitones. It's ridiculous. But that's probably why it sounds like that, right? We bring it back to 12. I don't like that. Let's bring it back down to 24. I think it's activated with like the soft pitch drop kind of thing. Let's look at that. Yeah, there it goes. But on the subdued, we don't have that. On the other additive, we're at 7 semitones, which is a fifth, which I kind of like, but let's try it at 0. Let's try that. Okay. A little more open, a little more forward. Okay, let's bring it down. A little less in your face. So if we have this, we got modulation on the cutoff for the gritty filter, which is pretty good actually. I kind of like that. If we go to LFO rate, the 8th, go over here, bring that down, sustain, crossfade, and distortion. Where do we want to put it? Kind of like it there. Decay and direction, I don't want to mess with that. Why not? Yeah, let's just leave it over here. The attack is fine. Sustain, perfect. Release, decent. ARP, we don't need to mess with that. Effects, here we go. Convolution reverb, acoustic reverb. We have delay, which is mix it all the way down. The bit crusher, we could turn that on a little bit. We actually, oh my goodness, I just realized doing automation for an Alchemy instrument. How would you even manage that? There's so many options. And I've got, whoop, that was an accident. I've got the mix is 0 there, which is fine. We don't want to have that on this particular bass. Okay, so we have that. That's fine. I think all of that is good, actually. I might leave it as it is and then see what this sounds like. Okay, now here's what I'm thinking, right? We go back to Alchemy. We go to the sustain. We turn it down, right? Turn it down even more. That's fine. Release, we could probably turn that up. we'll leave it alone. I would want to do that over here on these I don't need to look at that. Here we go. So actually, if we have that, that could be fine, because then what we can do is just simply turn this down. And then look at the rest of the chord progression. So just like what we have in the beginning, if we take this, and of course this will make the automation a little, it'll make mastering a little more tricky doing all this volume adjustment. But that's fine. We'll figure it out. What if we actually made the intro of the bass longer? What if we did that? That would be interesting. So we have the sustain going. Okay, so we have that. That's actually not too bad. So now all I have to do is just remember the chord progression that I made, which I don't. So I just have to do that real quick. So it looks like we went to C major next. So what if we did A? And then we went down to, that was C major 7, right? Yeah, C major 7 in first inversion, or second inversion even. Pretty ridiculous, but sounds good. That's what that is, right? If we play the C again, what if we held out the C instead? I don't know what I'm talking about. We'll leave that alone. I'm looking at the wrong thing, I think. So we have G, E, B. So B minor, the C7 is over here. That's where the C7 is. So we're just in E again. I don't want to go up. I actually want to go, I want to drop. We'll do the opposite of what the protagonist is doing. The mirror. And then what do we do in the chords? We go to a G major. Now we're, of course, going to fill out the bottom end with this bass throughout this chord progression. So we're just going to keep going even though the protagonist takes a break. And then we'll play around with that. We can actually do some automation to make the bass a little more dynamic. I might even be able to achieve what I'm looking for with the settings on Alchemy, but we'll look into it. We'll see what we have. So the next one we have C, E, G again. We're back in C, so we do a 5-1 kind of motion. Do I want to go up or do I want to go down? Do I want to have it in first inversion? What is the protagonist? The protagonist is playing an E, so I kind of want to go all the way down to a C. Okay. Let's see. What if instead we went up? That's when we have the 7 come in and the C in the base of the pad. So it's a major 7th. We want to keep the C. Now, do we keep this octave? I think it depends on what we do next. So what if we did drop it an octave, go to the E, and then stay on the E, and head back to the beginning with a 5-1. Perfect authentic cadence. That it is. if we loop the region. So let's take a listen. Okay, not too bad. We have more bottom end. We have that coming through. That's pretty good. Am I in love with the sound of the bass? Maybe not. Maybe not necessarily, but maybe. That would be an idea, actually. I haven't done that in a long time. Maybe we go into the audio effects. We go into imaging. No, we don't do that. Modulation, rotor cabinet. Rotor cabinet on a bass synth. How about that? Let's go for synth swirl. I mean, it's called synth swirl, right? That actually sounds very familiar. I've done this before. Okay, so in context. Okay, we could actually stand to bring, with this effect on the bass, it's actually basically like taking the sound and obliterating it, putting it through a process of reflections, which when it comes to a synth bass, basically makes it less coherent, makes it more dynamic, but consequently makes it apparently less powerful. So I'm going to turn up the volume and compensate for that. We'll see what it sounds like. Okay, so we have that. We might actually be able to bring the volume of the protagonist a little more forward as well, just to do a little bit of mixing along the way. Okay, so that leads us up to measure 19. We have in the beginning the declaration of the protagonist, the very first note. We have the introduction of the revelation, the pad intro to the ocean. We also have the ocean ride intro, the sky, being brought forth, and the establishment of the ground on the first beat of measure 3. That evolves over time as the revelation opens, bringing in the bass that I need to name, which then leads us into the reintroduction of the protagonist, who is diffused by the experience of the introduction and opening of the revelation. What do we name the bass? I'm probably the person most qualified to come up with a name, but if you happen to have any recommendations, I would love to know what you think. Me being the most qualified because I don't know. I'm ridiculous and this is my idea. So I'm putting it together. What if the bass is called the body? The body in reference to emotion, in reference to an anchor. We'll call it the body. So we'll go ahead and rename these regions. Actually, I could have just done that, but we're going to rename them by tracks. So now those are the body. So now we have our protagonist. We have the revelation. We have the anchor, the body. I might actually call it the anchor. I like that better because I'm going to use the word body more often than the word anchor. So I'm going to name it that. We have the protagonist, the revelation, the anchor, the intro to the ocean, the ground, the sky, and another intro to the ocean. And all of this comes together over the past 2 hours to create an introduction to a song. Yeah, so that's exactly how it goes. Putting this much attention to every detail, and we haven't even added variations to the ground in the sky. But of course, we have to think about that. Like, what is the ground and what is the sky, and how would they develop over the course of the unfolding of the revelation and the introduction of the anchor? A lot of good questions. Maybe we can do that. Maybe I bring this back at another time. I don't know. Let's listen to it while I decide. What have I decided? I decided I need to stand up. I have decided I need water. I have also decided I want to at least do another phrase before I end the stream. Of course, it depends on what you all feel as well. You can always watch it later if you feel like heading out. So yeah, I'm going to take a break. I'll come back to it. We'll finish the next phrase, which is just going to be a repetition and evolution of the introduction of the protagonist. And then probably end it there. Bring it back next week, maybe, if people like it, if people want to see it. We'll focus on this. I had a few other, I've done audio alchemy streams for a little bit now. I've got a few other things. I'm going to talk to people, see what people want to see. I never did finish Smoke Away Reality. Never did finish the chant that I started because I've been very busy. But if people like it, maybe I'll keep doing it. I'll probably keep doing it anyway, but time to take a break. Get yourself some water. Remember that you're incredible. Thank you for existing, and I'll be right back. And then there's a hard cut and I'm back. Hello, welcome. So, hope everybody's doing well. I am so excited for this little song that we have put together. I was thinking just now that actually something that I want to do, so I'll probably finish the next phrase, but I actually want to read the Gravity of Gravity, maybe the third chapter that I just released, for anybody who's interested in that. Of course, I know reading is hard. It's hard to fit into a lifestyle, especially with all the concerns that we have going on these days. So I figured, you know what? I don't talk about it enough, so I might as well read it, and we'll see how it goes. If anybody wants to read the rest of it, each chapter, very manageable. Little stories in themselves, really. Narrative unfolding the day that gravity pauses for 2 seconds, following Estrella Kai, the protagonist, who very much, like our song here, is searching for a sense of self in the wake of revelation. Maybe I'll read that. Maybe I'll read it to myself later. I don't know. Let's finish this phrase. On to the next measure. So far, we have this entire narrative, this unfolding happening before us. If we take everything that we have so far and repeat it, which we can do without messing around with automation because we chose to put it on the track rather than the region. So repeating, copying, and pasting, all of this stuff, we have to keep in mind that it's not going to keep the same information if we put it at a different part in the track. What I mean by that is if we were to take the bass here and put it behind the bass here, we're not going to hear it because the automation is on the track saying, don't play this. Put it over here, we see the volume fader went all the way to 0. We wouldn't hear it. But going forward, we can use that intentionally to play around with the different effects that we have going on. So here's what I'm thinking. If we have the evolution of the revelation, the introduction of the anchor, and the reestablishment of the protagonist, where do we go from here? Maybe what we want is actually a little bit of development in the ground in the sky, but maybe at the same time, in the experience of revelation, we have our body, our emotions, our anchor to our discrete perspective, and we have the evolution of the revelation. Maybe the ground and the sky we don't pull into question until a little later. So I think rather than doing variations for those two in the beginning, we keep a consistent flow. It becomes expected. It's like if you have a destabilizing revelation that pulls into question your sense of self, you still are experiencing that through the through a perspective of a human, of a discrete expression of consciousness. The fundamental qualities that make up our ability to experience aren't necessarily thrown into disarray every time we have a new thought. So maybe we have a sense of consistency, a sense of continuity going on. But then that pulls into question, what do we do in this repetition of the phrase, the development of the protagonist? I think that can be explored and described and explained through a question. That question being, what is our goal? Where are we going next? I think what I would like to do is, after we have the reestablishment of the protagonist, we have the protagonist gain strength in the mix to gain a sense of clarity. And as the protagonist has clarity and has momentum, then we transition into something much more dynamic, something much more grounded, and something much more expansive at the same time. In other words, we build up to a drop, a different kind of drop at that. So in the beginning, we have a protagonist, evolution, revelation, opening, reestablishing, grounding, and then a new reality, I guess. That is what it leads to, doesn't it? Okay, let's take a look. We'll see what kind of automation we've done on this track so far. What can we play around with for the protagonist? Do we want to repeat the theme? I think that is generally how my thoughts work when I'm in situations like this. I repeat the theme, saying to myself that I am real, I guess, which is good. It's good to be reminded of that every now and then. If we turn up the chroma verb dry signal, we'll get more presence I don't think this is really going to do much dragging it back here just because of the sustain of the instrument, but maybe it will. Let's go ahead. We're going to isolate the protagonist. It's what my life did to me. And then we'll play it. Okay, so there we go. We have a little bit of evolution, a little bit of opening, a little bit of gaining strength as we go through the phrase for a bit of rebalancing. Now, I think that could be, what do we want to do? Maybe some more volume work as we get to this next part. Bring it back up to maybe plus 1.2 since it's so diffused. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so I think that captures the opening of the protagonist's sense of identity. How do we capture the momentum? I think that can be done in two ways. Now, the first is through changing the tonal quality of the other parts of the experience. The next is to actually amplify momentum through rhythm. So we have an evolution of the ground, a more active role for the sky, and actually we might be able to play around with the anchor, getting a little more dynamic, building up the excitement, and then we revisit our drop and build up to something more intense, which I think is how it goes, right? You have a thought, you have an idea, revelation, you have like it starts to integrate, and then you have all these other things, and along the way you have more revelations because the context has completely changed, like the idea that you deserve good things, that you deserve to experience love, that you can and deserve to offer that love to yourself, that kind of thing. You know, those ideas, they can be really good. As you contemplate, as you experience, as you build upon, you find you are led to other ideas like maybe everyone does. Maybe everyone deserves love. Maybe that is something that we can do. Maybe life is hard. Maybe we're all trying our best, that kind of thing. So let's listen here and then see if we get a sense for how we can play around with the rhythm. I'm thinking something gradual. Maybe over the course of the second phrase, we'll have the protagonist begin to take a more active role. The anchor can respond, and the ground can start to build up towards the end to accentuate the crescendo of motion. Okay, I had an idea. What if we go to the protagonist? We collapse the automation. We deal with that. That is the beginning. So we go over here. We actually do this. Doom, 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 ba-bum, bum. Does anybody remember what chord that was? I really should write this down. We can always check. So that is C major. Okay, so that note works. Here we go. Now, what chord do we have at 22? If we take a look at that, we have G major. So if we go over here and we want something, we can actually go... do we even take it up to that? Let's see. Let's play it in context. I don't think we want the fa mi there. We can get rid of that. Mi re do. Oh, here we go. Now we can add bum 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 bum. Ooh, where do we want to go from there? Because we're on the 7th of the dominant. If we did the C, ooh, that would sound interesting against the G sharp. That would be wild. Let's see. And then we can have the drop once again. Create MIDI region. Go here so we make sure we're in the right octave. Close it out there. Leave revelation suspended. So we don't resolve revelation for this moment. We have a transition where the protagonist reclaims the identity, bringing it back to the very origin. The anchor, maybe we resolve the anchor. We bring the anchor along with the body, the protagonist, the emotions. We go over here. Let's give that a try, because if we're down here, maybe we go for the whole time. We can do some automation to fade it out, bring it back, to set up the... we could do 2 measures. Have this here. Have the anchor go all the way across. Then we can do some volume automation. We'll have the sky join us above the ground. So the ground, we're just going to do just a kick. Let's see. Where does this go? This goes nowhere. So what we can actually do is we can get rid of this region, repeat that, delete that. A weird way to do that, but that's where we are now. So if we do this, okay, so we can actually fade out the anchor and bring in an alternative, something more active, something more present, something brighter. We can bring that down, bring in something else. Maybe we can have this transition last for 4 measures instead. We can bring in the ground and the sky as well as we get to the end of this 4 measure little transition. So we'll bring the anchor out. We can just take the volume, bring it down. We'll want to close it out a little later so that it kind of fades away. So we'll do that. Actually bring this up so that it's a little... Okay. All right. I think that's fine. Actually, we'll leave it there for now. Okay, so we have the protagonist taking a more active role in the context of the revelation. The anchor leading us through, giving us a sense of body, the ground and the sky, persistent as always, up to the revelation of the drop, which then becomes the ocean once again. So actually, I think I might set us up to explore the second drop, the evolution, the transition of all of these elements into a much more active experience, a much more intense experience. But so far, we have a story. Let's listen to it. Okay, that was pretty nice. I want to play around with the protagonist some more because I want the evolution to take place over the course of the initial phrase rather than just at the tail end of it. So if we pull this out, we can actually bring this back, I think, to 15. We can look at the other layers. We have the dry signal coming out there. We can actually bring this back as well. And then that is balanced against the wet signal, which doesn't change. Okay, so that's fine. The decay time doesn't change either, so that is all fine. That should give us a little more gradual of an introduction to that side. So let's try this again. I'll actually start here. Okay, awesome. That was pretty fun. Yeah, I think next week I might actually just do this one again because I have had a lot of fun with it. The other ones also had a lot of fun with, but this one's pretty chill. I don't have to. Well, I mean, it might not seem like it, but I actually don't have to try too hard to put all this together. It's actually pretty straightforward for me, anyway, given my experience and the thoughts that I have on a daily basis. So if you all want to see that, you are welcome to join me again next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Same time this started, same place too. Of course, if you're watching this somewhere else, it is twitch.tv/musical mercenary. You can find me there. I have a few other things, a few other places on YouTube. I am set up as Darian T, Darrian, the letter T. Let's see. Instagram, it's the Musical Mercenary. I post some stuff there. I'm learning how to use it again. I used to use it. I'm using it again now. And of course, if you would like to help me survive capitalism, because I'm not doing too great with that due to my resistance to the capitalist paradigm, Patreon.com, excellent place to support me. Also, an excellent place to read The Gravity of Gravity. I actually set it up so that you can buy access to the book, which I'll be writing and updating for the foreseeable future. No matter what happens, I'll be working on that. You can get access to that particular collection on my page for $30. Video games are doing that these days. You buy them before they're done. They update them, hopefully for free. That's what I'm doing on Patreon. So if you want to help support my existence, patreon.com/Darian Thomas, DarrianThomas. Excellent place for that. I think, hey, my friend said I've enjoyed this as well. Awesome. That is incredible. I had a good feeling about this idea. I wasn't sure where it was going to lead me, but I think we've done pretty good work here. So yeah, I'll pick this up again next week, and this stream is going to be available on my Twitch channel for the next week because I'm not an affiliate or anything, and then it's going to be on YouTube after that. If you were here for part of it and you want to watch the whole thing, you can find it there. I have a link on my Twitch account to a portal which will give you access to all sorts of things. So you really don't even need to memorize the links and the handles that I've said. It's all there on my page. That said, you know what? Sure. Why not? How about we do that? I'm going to go over to full cam. It's going to start playing some music in the background, another song that I wrote. And in the meantime, make sure I save A Drop Becomes the Ocean. And I'm going to pull up The Gravity of Gravity. I'm going to read chapter 3 for you because I really like it. If you haven't read it, if you haven't heard it, this is a good opportunity for that. I haven't done a recording of it. I'm actually going to do chapter 2, upload that as a YouTube video, a reading of me doing that, and then I'm going to do chapter 3 after that. But just to give everybody an idea, I don't know. I don't really feel like reading the whole thing right now. It's a lot, and I have to do it again later, probably tonight. So why don't I tell you one of my favorite lines? In this chapter, in the beginning, Estrella Kai reads from her journal that she started keeping as she was transitioning from working as a seasonal employee at a store, a music store, to running games of a TTRPG system called We Are Gods on the TerraNet. She's reading about her first day of a class, the development of artificial intelligence, focusing on a conversation between Jacob Bellamy and Clarity, the AI he was training. She reads her journal. The narrator speaks. This is what they say. Looking through this window into her memory, Estrella Kai decided to find the final draft of her first assignment and to read it before capturing her reflection. After noticing how her voice has changed, she found herself profoundly curious to experience the words she had orchestrated so long ago. While she searched for the documents, Estrella Kai realized she was feeling the enormity of expansion elevating her essence through every thought and through every breath. In less than a year, she had grown into someone she could not have imagined, though even when writing the second entry in her journal, she knew she was destined to become someone undeniably beautiful. And today, Estrella Kai knew that she has always been beautiful, that ignorance and inexperience do not diminish the value of a person, that comparisons are inherently flawed, that while there is always room for growth, no part of the journey is made less brilliant by what follows. A good note to end on, I think. If you are wanting to do something, but you feel maybe you don't have the authority, maybe you don't have the confidence, that's fine. We all have our journeys through life. And along the journey, we pick up insight. We develop insight. We develop our perspective. I think whether you are the world's foremost blank, psychologist, economist, whatever the case may be, I think it's important to remember that you are the world's foremost expert in you, in your perspective, in your thoughts, in your emotions, and everything that encompasses and embodies your existence. You have the ultimate authority when it comes to speaking for you, for your own perspective. So I'd say, I don't know, maybe don't take it so seriously. You can do this. Whatever this is, you got this. But I will end it there. I'll catch you later. And I do truly look forward to our next conversation, which could be tomorrow. I'll be running a single-player TTRPG with my friend where I put him into a random video game without telling him the rules, and I see how long it takes for him to guess which game it is. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be at 8 tomorrow on Friday. On Saturday, back to Starfield. Maybe I'll deal with the toilet milk crisis. Maybe I won't. I don't know. And then on Sunday, I'm reading chapter 4 of Genesis from the Christian Bible. Got a lot of really cool stuff coming up. So follow on Twitch if you want to get notified for that kind of thing. And, well, thank you for existing. Yeah, truly. Like, I deeply appreciate you. Whether you're represented by a number or have an actual reality, which is your own, which I think is more likely than simply a number. Thank you. And I'll see you next time. Now I'm going to hit the button that says ending.